Hey YouTube, before I go any further, after the end, the band I'm in, the Black Sabbath band, I've just painted my amp. I'm going to advertise this at every video for the next, 21st of February, that's next Friday. We're playing with a band called Tantrum and a band called The Last Alibi in Glasgow. In a place called Audio, which is kind of in below where the Arches used to be, sort of at Central Station, kind of the next tunnel down. So come and see us. Yeah, so what I'm going to do just now, I tried to do this video a few days ago, is a sort of comparison with a sort of modern, this is a Line 6 micro spider, which is a sort of battery operated portable version of a Line 6 and a wee laney tube amp. Just to see what I sort of used to have, what I've done is I've put a switch on the floor, a foot switch, which switches between the two amps, just as a sort of general how close can you get. And I do know that it's not really a fair comparison because this is not an expensive modelling amp. This isn't like a Kempler or whatever you call it, you know, the ones that everyone raves about that cost thousands of pounds. This is a wee, I don't know how cheap it is, probably not that cheap actually. It's only got a wee tiny speaker. It actually even runs on batteries, it's got effects on it, versus a sort of £300 or £400 boutique tube amp. It's even a bit. Normally I play through this 3x12, but I'm just using the internal speaker on it because speakers make a big difference to sound. As I've noticed, having three big 12-inch speakers is much better than having one 10-inch one, even though the 10-inch one is like a fancy Jensen one which sounds really good, but it's not as good as having three 12s. And obviously that's even smaller, so that's I don't know how big a speaker that is, 5 inches, 6 inches, might even tell you, 6.5 inch, even tells you in the front. So you got 6 watts, quality stone, 4 famous Spider 3 amp models, acoustic amp models, 6 spark controlled effects, 2 at a time, 6 watts, tuner on the top, with no name, just battery powered, mic, it's got a mic in, a CD input, and it comes with a plug. Yeah, so what I've kind of set up these Line 6s, I've actually got a broken one which I've failed to fix, which is I think it probably is a Spider. I don't think it's a Spider 3, I think it might be a Spider 1 or a Spider 2. It's basically, you know, in fact it might even be bigger than that one, but it's kind of got similar controls. I think this has a few less of them. The way this works is it's got like 4 buttons along the top here. You can see them lit up orange. We've got Clean, Crunch, Metal and Insane, which are sort of 4 amp models that you can mess about with. And the knobs on the front you can adjust. Well, you can always adjust knobs. The master volume at the end's a real knob. It's always the volume. Whereas the other ones, whatever you set these to, you can, if you hold in the button, if you're on the clean channel and you want to adjust the bass a wee bit, you can turn the bass up a wee bit, and then you hold in the button for a couple of seconds, it flashes and then it remembers what it is you've got it set to. So you can do that with all 4. And what I've tried to do is roughly set it up to give right, I'm going to try and, I'm not really getting that much room to stand here. I don't want to be in the way of the mic. I think I'm okay with that one. But right, so that's just the laney on its own. So I'm going for a clean channel. And I'm going for a little bit of drive. And I'm going for the rat pedal on. And then there was another one called Insane, so I just made that maybe the first pedal. Maybe that first pedal. And I'm going to stand over here. Yeah, so even though you can't actually see the Line 6. So we're going here. This is just the laney on its own. This is what I can find on the so Spider, Line 6 tubes. Back to modelling. Not bad actually have to be said. And the second one I said I was going to try and do was the sort of slightly distorted. Oops. That's the tube amp. This is my attempt at it on the line 6. Back to tube. I mean, I'm not standing in front of this amp, even though you can't see it. The mic's over there, so there's a clear run to it. I mean, let's be honest here, the tube amp does sound an awful lot better, but it was also a hell of a lot more expensive, and I'm using pedals and stuff to get the different sounds, whereas this is all on board. What I say the next one was maybe sort of like the Rat pedal a bit. So Rat. Attempt on the metal amp on this one. If you spent a bit more time on it and to save that, all you do is hold it in and it flashes. You can see it flash through your finger, and then that now remembers what I've adjusted the bells to. Not a million miles away. And then the metal one, sounds exactly the same. So I've just adjusted the Rat one to sound like the metal one. So while I'm here, I might as well have a look at. I've been using this. That was humbuckers. This is single coils. See if they got. There's quite a difference in sound between humbuckers and single coils. It's how you make it sound a bit less like a wee tiny speaker, because when I grew up playing guitar, it was that you started off with a wee 10 watt amp was really all you could get. It was like everyone just started off with your standard, it was called mine was called a BB Blaster, or very similar. They all seem to be exactly the same amp, which kind of sound a bit like what this is just now with its distortion. Mildly distorted. And I set the laney to what I classed as being a bit similar. that's a pretty good match, I think. More just to get the volumes matched, isn't it? I don't know how much of that's right is purely down to the size of the speaker. That is a 6.5-inch speaker versus a 10-inch speaker. One more thing I'm going to do. That's me using sort of vintage Japanese guitars. I'll get my trusty cheapy Telecaster out. See if it makes as much of a difference on a cheapie as it does on an expensivey. An expensive, a cheapie that holds tune though. Yeah, so we're on the Spider. I would actually say it makes more difference on this guitar than it did on the other two. That might be something to do with being a Telecaster though. For distortion level 1. It's interesting, it doesn't seem to have distorted the... Doesn't seem to have distorted the Tele quite the way it did the other two guitars, eh? I wonder what that is. This has also got effects on the top of it as well. I think that's probably enough of the comparison. It does, I mean, being honest, I'm going to run that through the tuner just to make sure. It kind of sounds alright, okay. Might sound a bit more better when it's in tune. Why is it not working? In fact, actually, there's a problem. Bad connection. Okay, right. I had this problem with this tuner the other day. It didn't seem to be working properly. I use the one on the top of this instead. I think I might need to buy myself a new floor tuner. Might buy a slightly more expensive one. That one was only 12 quid. And I'll be honest, it's lasted the last 6 months really well, but it seems to be getting a bit intermittent just now. we've got some chorus flange. I'll just put all these at full whack so you can hear what they do. So that's the way this works. It's like you get from sort of, I don't know, 0 to 4, you get chorus flange, which is like, you know, not very on to fully on, and then when you go up a wee bit further, you go off the chorus flange onto phaser. There you go. And after that, you get tremolo. So that's like effects dial 1, and these are dialable into your 4 presets on the front. Technically there's 5 presets, because if you hold the 2 in together, you get what they're called an acoustic, which I thought was going to be like, oh, that'll make my guitar sound like an acoustic. You get that quite often in pedals. I don't know, it didn't really sound that good. I realised no, that makes it into an acoustic amp, which is, you know, for plugging an acoustic guitar into, because a guitar amp's typically a bit different from an acoustic amp. An acoustic amp's a bit more like a PA. It doesn't, you know, it gives you a full range. So actually, I've been playing the bass, but that's what I'm going to use for download this year for playing the bass through. This is I've actually I sold my pal the wee Joyo one, because this is bigger. So if you're using an acoustic channel, it's actually bass. But I digress. And the other, there's 2 of these effects. This one's a sweep echo, which is a tap tempo thing that's loading up there, which I never use. So what about now? Now we're on to tape echo. And then a reverb. Yeah, so effects off. So I'm mighty impressed with this wee thing, I have to say. The last video I did, I was kind of trying to do it as a comparison to try and see if it would do the same job, and really it doesn't, because, you know, you're looking at hundreds of pounds worth of stuff against something that's cheap and does lots of things. I mean, this is the sort of slightly fancy. This is a VC, not the LC. So this does actually have 2 channels. So it's got a clean and an overdrive, which I've been using, and it does have reverb on it and a 3-band EQ. Whereas this, you've got your reverb, you've got 4 channels, and you've got your 3-band EQ. So basically, it's kind of like it's the sort of thing. I think if that had a bigger speaker on it, it'd have a better chance. Also, that's only 6 watts, whereas this is 15, and it's 15 tube watts, and tube watts are bigger than moduli watts. But I would recommend, if you're on a budget, getting something like that. I mean, see if I'd had that when I was learning, that would have been smashing. And the distortions are usable. It's a case of trying, do you need to mess about with them to try and get them to... Unfortunately, I think just a 6.5 inch speaker always sounds like a 6.5 inch speaker. Keep that, you know, you just hold it in for a couple of seconds, it flashes, and then that's a metal. And back to that one. fun. So I am a tube snob. So these things are not going to. A modelling app is not going to be good enough anyway. I know it's maybe it could blow my mind. Right, that thing, because this thing runs on batteries. I mean, it's awesome. I wouldn't be as impressed if it didn't run on batteries, but it's a wee amp like that, and you can't really compare a wee amp like that with I gigged with that with a gigging amp. So yes, there is something in the modelling thing. I'm not sure how. Like, I always feel like effects pedals, or maybe not so much like individual effects pedals, but your big multi-effects units and things like modelling amps, they go out of date a bit. Unlike guitars, I mean, you know, this telly is like, okay, this is, 2 years old, 3 years, whatever it was I bought it. This is basically exactly the same as what you could buy in 1950s. This amp is pretty much one of the wee Fender, I can't remember which Fender it is, whatever the 15-watt Fender is, a Fender Champ. It's pretty much sort of that. You know, that's a sort of, a sort of 70s or an 80s Marshall, and you're like, these things don't go out of date because it is what it is. Whereas this, because it's got technology on board, technology that they're allowed to actually change, I'd imagine these things do get better. I mean, I don't know how old this is. It's still got the sticker on the front, which makes me think it might be quite new, but I mean, we're probably talking a couple of years, so maybe. But then again, in a few years' time, it's still going to be a usable wee amp with lots of effects on it. And if you're going for a wee amp like that, really, all you really need is one decent sound, and it totally does that. It totally does. It does the sort of the lower end of crunch really well. Actually, I'm wondering what would happen if I stuck those. Can I be bothered doing it? It's probably not that difficult, actually. It's pretty easy. I take that out and I stick that in there. Yeah, and I just use the clean channel. Yeah, so here's my rig. Now, this has got all the pedals through it now. So what does the rat pedal do through that? That's interesting. So even though you've got your amp with 4 channels and distortion and 2 effects units built into the top of it, the rat pedal sounds more like the rat pedal than it can do without the rat pedal. That makes sense? Because that sounds better than what I tried to fit in. There's just something that the rat pedal's got. My stack in the box sound like to it. That different from so I reckon it is. I wasn't sure. I mean, that's literally breaking news. Yes, I would still consider purchasing one of the wee Mosky rat pedals or one of the other clones. I'd imagine they're all the same. They're about 15 quid, something like that. If you run it in a battery, you need to buy a power supply for it as well. If you don't run it in a battery, but yeah, I think that's worth it. Going into a wee amp like that. Yeah, so nice wee amp. Don't really know what's been gained from watching this video, but there you go. It's just a wee thing that it won't. Yeah, it's not good. I ain't going to be focusing on that. So basically the knobs are drive, bass, mid, treble, the channel volume for each one of your things, and then a master volume. The master volume always works, which is good, which means if you set all these to the level within each other, you can turn it up overall, you know what I mean, and then they'll all be the same volume, and then you get your 4 buttons for the different channels. And on the top we've got the tuner, tuner. This is the effects unit that's got echo, tape echo and reverb on it. This is the effects unit that's got chorus, flange, phaser and tremolo on it. And then you've got a microphone input for busking or for sticking a bass in. Actually, me and my pal Dal actually had a bit of a jam and I stuck the bass into the mic input and he played the guitar through the front and it was acceptable, which is pretty good, having two inputs on a wee amp like this. And it takes... people of mine will know that as snow speeder batteries or Millennium Falcon batteries. The sort of not big ones, the medium size, I can't remember what they are. AAs are your Walkman batteries, and the big ones are torch batteries, I suppose. So they're the ones that are sort of in the middle, the medium size sort of cylindrical batteries. Rock on!